Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy, and in today's video we are going to be learning how to make this crocheted cabled pumpkin. It has a simple cable and a slip stitch ridge running up the side of each pumpkin. This pumpkin is available in 3 different sizes. This is a size small that we will be learning how to make today. This pattern is available in a written version for free on my blog or for purchase on my Etsy, and on my Etsy you will also receive the instructions on how to make the medium and the large size. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this tutorial. Here are the materials that you will need to make this pumpkin. You will need some polyfill or stuffing. If you don't have any polyfill or stuffing, I will sometimes use yarn tails. So I know I have a ton of like extra random yarn lying around. You can use that to stuff some pumpkins, guys. You don't have to have polyfill. You'll need a pair of scissors. You'll need a large tapestry needle because we are working with a bulky 5-weight yarn today. You will need some sort of rope, twine, or ribbon, and this is just to decorate your stem with. You will also need a stick or a cinnamon stick, or you can crochet a stem for your pumpkin. Lastly, we will be using a size K 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, and the yarn that I'm going to be using today is this Ice Yarns. This is Wool Tweed Super Bulky by Ice Yarns. It says that it's a super bulky 6, but I'm going to tell you that it is a bulky 5-weight. So any bulky 5-weight yarn that you have will do great. I like this one because it's a tweed and I think it makes the pumpkin look a little more rustic, but again, any yarn that you have on hand that is a bulky weight yarn will work, or hold 2 strands of a 4-weight together and that will be just fine. Let's go ahead and begin making this pumpkin. The first thing we're going to do is create a slip knot. So I'm going to take my tail over my working yarn, which is the yarn that's attached to the ball, go inside that loop and pull up that working yarn, pull it through, and that is my slip knot. Then place that slip knot onto your crochet hook, tighten it up a little bit by pulling the 2 ends together, and then we are going to chain up a total of 7. So to do that, you are going to yarn over and pull through that loop on your hook, and that is how you make your first chain. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and we are going to do this until we have a total of 17 chains, and I will meet you back here to show you how to start the foundation row. We have a total of 17 chains, and for our foundation row, we are going to single crochet into each stitch across, and that first single crochet is going to be in the second chain from the hook. So here's your first chain, here's the second. I'm going to go into the second. I also like to work into the back bumps of my chain. So here's the front of my chain. I like to go in the back just because it creates a cleaner edge and it's easier to seam at the end. So going into that second chain with a single crochet by inserting my hook, yarning over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. So go ahead and place 1 single crochet into each chain, and I will meet you back here at the end of this row to show you how to begin row 1. This is considered your foundation row. We have come to the last chain. Let's end this row by placing a single crochet into that very last chain, and then chaining up 1 by yarning over and pulling through that loop on your hook. That's a chain 1, and then turn your work. And now you should have 16 single crochets. So you can go ahead and count them to make sure, but that is the number that you should have throughout the rest of the project. And it is important to keep track of your stitch count because when you're working with cables, it can be a little easy to miss a stitch or add an extra stitch. So just be mindful that your count is 16. So for round 1, we are going to slip stitch through the back loop loosely. So here is my first stitch. This is stitch here, I am going to go into just this back loop here with a slip stitch. So that is going to be a yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that through a loop, and then to make it loose, pull that up a little bit on your hook, and that'll make your stitch a little looser. Do not go overboard with this, it'll look crazy. Just a tiny little pull will suffice. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through, pull up again for a slip stitch. So go ahead and continue slip stitching down the rest of the single crochets, and I will meet you back here at the end of the row to show you how to start row 2. Alright, we have come to that very last single crochet. Let's place a slip stitch into that, chain 1, and turn to begin row 2. So I want to pause here for a second and actually kind of show you how to read stitches, because it's kind of important for this pumpkin. So if you can see, if we flip back to the other side, and you can kind of see a little bit of what's going on. Let me zoom in a little more. This ridge here, this is that front loop that we skipped. And then here is our slip stitches that we made into the back loop, which is why this looks a little weird. So we chained 1 and we're going to turn. And for this next round, what we want to do is actually place a single crochet into the front loop from the previous row that we skipped. So if you kind of turn your work here a little bit, you can see this, there's a little ridge here of separation, and those are those front loops that we skipped, and we went into the back loop of that stitch. So we are going to go into those with a single crochet. So I'm going to kind of turn my work like this a little bit, and into this first loop here you are going to place a single crochet. So that looks like a yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. So one more time, you kind of want to turn your work, and you can even pull those back loop stitches down to kind of see this ridge a little better. Here's that, it looks like a little bar. So go ahead and place a single crochet in that one, and then here's the bar again, going with a single crochet, and then this bar here, going with a single crochet, and then just repeat that for the remainder of your stitches. And I will meet you back here at the end of the row to show you how to begin the next row. We have come to the very last stitch, and I just want to say, do not forget about this last stitch, guys. It's very important, because if you forget about it, your work is going to start decreasing. So kind of pull your stitches apart and locate that very last bar, going with a single crochet. And something that you can do now is actually count your stitches. Remember, you should have 16, so that'll help you keep your edges straight and no like random decreasing. So I'm going to count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Awesome, I have 16. Now we are going to chain up 1 and turn. For row 3, this is just going to be a plain single crochet row. So insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 for a single crochet. And then place a single crochet in the next stitch and the preceding stitches of this round, and I will meet you back here at the next row. Please remember your stitch count is 16. Okay, here's our last stitch. Let's go in with a single crochet and then chain 1 and turn. You are going to end every row with a chain 1 and turn. This is how your work is looking so far. The next row, which is row 4, begins our cabling row. So it gets a little fun, a little crazy. If you've never worked cables, don't be afraid. I think that you can do this. It's a great way to learn kind of cable work, because it's just what we're doing is crocheting a flat rectangle, and I think that's the best way to learn. So to begin this row, we are going to place 1 single crochet into this very first stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. And then we are going to chain up 3. So yarn over and pull through that loop on your hook for 1 chain, 2, and 3. And then we are going to skip 2 single crochets. So ignore the one that you're in right now with your chain. Here's 1 we're going to skip, 2 we're going to skip, and then we're going to go into this 3rd one here with a single crochet. And now we are going to flip our work and work into these 3 chains that we just made. So I'm going to flip it this way. And now I'm looking at the back of my work. And so you're going to place a single crochet into these 3 chains that you just made. This first, where your yarn is attached, is the single crochet you just did. Do not place one in that stitch. Go into this very first chain here with 1 single crochet, and then the next chain with a single crochet, and then the slash chain with a single crochet. And then we're going to slip stitch into this very first single crochet that we made here. So into your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2 for a slip stitch. This is what your work is kind of looking like right now. So now we're going to flip our work back over. So I'm going to flip it back this way. And now I'm looking at the front of my work. And you just made a cable. Almost. So what you want to do is, this is your cable. Go ahead and pull that to the front and get it out of your way. Remember those 2 stitches that we skipped? We are going to place a single crochet into each of those skipped stitches. So here's this very first one. I'm going to place 1 single crochet in, and then the second one you're going to place 1 single crochet in. And now you have your cable, and you're just going to repeat that sequence for the remainder of the stitches. So chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 single crochets, place 1 into the 3rd single crochet, turn your work, place a single crochet into each of those chains that you just made. So there's 1, here's 2, and here is 3. And then place 1 slip stitch into that very first stitch right here to connect. And then flip your work, pull that cable to the front, and place 1 single crochet into those 2 skipped stitches. We can work 1 more together. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 stitches, go into the 3rd single crochet with a single crochet, turn your work, place 1 single crochet into that first chain, place 1 single crochet into that second chain, and place 1 single crochet into that 3rd chain, and then slip stitch into that single crochet to join, and then turn your work again, pull your cable to the front, and place 1 single crochet into that first skip single crochet, and then place 1 single crochet into that second skipped single crochet. So I will let you repeat that for the remainder of the stitches and meet you back here at the end to work that with you. So you have just worked your last cable and single crocheted into those 2 skip stitches. The last thing that you want to do is place 1 single crochet into the very last stitch. Now you already went into this last stitch with a single crochet, and then you flipped your work and you worked the cable on those 3 chains, the single crochets into the 3 chains. So there should already be a single crochet into that last stitch, and that'll help you kind of find it a little easier. So go into that one with a single crochet and then chain 1 and turn your work. But before I turn, I do want to show you this is what your work should be looking like so far. You've got the front of your cables, now we need to work the back of those cables. So chain 1, and now you can turn your work. And for this row, we are going to be working with single crochets, and we are going to place 1 single crochet into the first stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2, and then place a single crochet into the second single crochet, and then a single crochet into this third single crochet. And then now we have, if you pull your cable, you can see 2 stitches right here. We're going to go into this first stitch with 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then in this next stitch with 1 single crochet. And then into this you have your cable, and then you have 2 stitches here. In this first one we are going to place 2 single crochets, 2, and in the next one, 1. So go ahead and repeat that all the way down your work, and I will meet you back here at the end. Okay, so we have come to our last sequence. I placed 2 single crochets here and 1 here, and now I want to go into this very last stitch here with a single crochet. You kind of have to pull your stitches a little bit to find it, but it's there, I promise. So go in with 1 single crochet and a chain 1 to end the round, and then you can flip your work. Hey, this is what your work should be looking like so far. For row 6, what we are going to do is slip stitch loosely into the front loop of each stitch. So this is to create another ridge here, and then that's the sequence, that's your pattern sequence. So here's your back loop that we went into the first time. We're going to go into the very first loop, which is right here. So go in with a slip stitch. So enter your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. And then pull up on that stitch a little bit to make it a little loose. So go into the front loop here with the slip stitch, and then pull up that stitch loosely. Front loop, slip stitch, pull up loosely. Front loop, slip stitch, and pull up loosely. So go ahead and repeat that for the remainder of these stitches, and I will meet you back here. Okay, I have come to this last stitch here. We are going to place a slip stitch into that last one, chain 1, whoops, chain 1, and turn your work. For this last row, which is row 7, you are going to work 1 single crochet into the back loop of those stitches. So let's talk about stitches a little bit. For this row we just did, if you pull your stitch back here, you can see what we did was we went into this front loop with a slip stitch. Let me zoom in a little bit, maybe you can see better. Okay, so we went into the front loop with this slip stitch, which is right here. This little ridge right here, these are the back loops that we skipped, okay? So for this next round, we're going to be working into those back loops that we skipped when we slip stitched into the front loop. I hope that makes sense. So I chained 1, and we're going to turn our work now, and you can actually see these very clearly on the back because we're working on the back. They look like bars. So this first one here, don't skip it. It's a little difficult to see and get into because it's that very first one, but it's there. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2 for a single crochet, and then place a single crochet into that next bar, and then here's this bar. Going to place another single crochet, and then just go ahead and repeat that for the remainder of your stitches, and I will meet you back here at the end of the row to talk to you about your pattern repeat, because now you can officially just repeat this pattern and for the remainder of your pumpkin. Alright, so here is this very last stitch here. Don't forget it. Remember that it's there. Go into the single crochet, and this would be a good time to actually count your stitches. You should have 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Whoops, okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. I have 16. So then you can chain 1 and turn. Okay, so this is what your work looks like, and you can now officially repeat this pattern until you have a total of 7 of these cable rows. And the pattern that you are going to be repeating is row 4 through row 7. So row 4 was our cable row where we did the 3 chains, and then we like single crocheted into those 3 chains, and then we worked back. That's our cable row. And then after that, what we did was a single crochet through the back of all the cable rows. So it's just a plain single crochet row, and we placed 2 single crochets into the first stitch and then 1 into the second. And then the next row was a slip stitch through the front loop row, and then the next row after that was just a plain single crochet through those back loops that we skipped. So you will just be repeating that until you have a total of 7 cables. Okay, so I have completed a total of 7 cables. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I do want to say, you do want to stop right after this cable row. I know you feel like you should go ahead and work the back of it, but don't do that, because for consistency purposes, we are going to use this very first single crochet row we did as this single crochet row for the back of that. And then that way you can then have a ridge, and then this, and then it looks a little more consistent that way. It won't look that way if you decide to go ahead and place a single crochet row there. It'll look like you have 2 single crochet rows here, because you will. So please just pause right after you finish that very last cable. And now we are going to slip stitch this together. Let me go ahead and zoom out. Okay. All right. So what we want to do is fold this to where the cables are facing each other, or in other words, inside out. We want to have the back of the cables on the outside, and we are going to do a slip stitch join. And I do want to say I am making a ton of these pumpkins right now, so I am just going for the easiest join as possible, the quickest join as possible. I want to weave in as little as possible because I'm trying to make so many of these. But if you prefer to join in a different way, that is totally okay. This is just what's quickest and easiest for me, and that is my motto at the moment. Okay, so before I do that, I also want to mention, if you recall, on this round we do 3 single crochets, and then on this first here we would put 2 single crochets. So 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 for the remainder. With that in mind, what we are actually going to do is go in behind this cable to join, and then go in here. We're not going to go in here twice to join. And if you skip it completely and you don't skip on this side, you're going to end up with a wonky join. Okay, this will make a little more sense once we start going. Okay, so you're going to face these 2 together and go into this first stitch on the other side. Well, it would help if I moved my tail out of the way. So here's this first stitch. I'm going to actually, will it help if I zoom in a little bit, huh? All right, so go into this first stitch and then grab, not that tail. Where's my other tail? I'm sorry. Okay, pull that one out of the way now. Okay, so grab that tail, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through the loop on your hook. And then you kind of are going to have to push that cable down and out of the way in order to really see your stitches. So then I'm going to go into the second stitch here and go into my second stitch on the opposing side, yarn over, pull through those first group of stitches, yarn over, pull through the second, and then pull through that stitch on my hook with a slip stitch. So you're slip stitching through all of the stitches, essentially. So go into this third one here, the third one that matches on the other side, yarn over, pull through all those loops, and then pull through again. Okay, and now we want to go into this stitch here that's behind the cable, the opposing stitch, yarn over and slip through all stitches. Okay. And now I have this stitch here, the matching stitch, yarn over, pull through all, then this next one here, the opposing, yarn over, slip through all, and then this behind the cable, the matching through all. And then just continue in this manner down the remainder of your stitches, slipping through all of them and behind that cable as well. And I will meet you back here at the end to show you what to do next and how we're going to close up our pumpkins and stuff our pumpkins and all of the fun things. So you just kind of want to make it match up as best as possible. It may not be perfect, but we can just only hope for the best. Actually, it kind of is perfect. So here's this little single crochet, the first cable that I did, and I think I'm gonna go, do I want to go into here? Yeah, let's go into here and that first stitch and slip. Perfect. And now you are going to cut a tail, and you want to cut a long tail, you guys, because we are going to be doing a lot with this tail. So I'm going to snip probably about here. Don't judge my scissors. And this is, I have a pretty long tail. So then you're going to yarn over and pull that tail through to close it and pull that tight. And now you can flip your pumpkin back to the right side, and you have this cabled tube. How beautiful. And what I like to do at this point is give it a stretch, and that's just to kind of help my stitches settle. I did all these really tight stitches and cables, and I really just kind of need to pull everything to let it kind of just settle in a little more. How awesome. Okay, so now we're going to work on seaming up the bottom of our pumpkin. So when you flip, your tail kind of gets pushed around. Okay, so here's the end of that long tail I left. Here's your tapestry hook. Go ahead and thread your yarn through your tapestry hook. And what we are going to do is seam this up as if we would seam a hat up. We're just going to weave in and out and then pull tight to close. So here's my yarn. I will show you. I'm just going to go through wherever I can and then back the opposite way, and then back through this way, then back the opposite way. So continue weaving just in and out any stitch. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is the bottom of your pumpkin. This is how your pumpkin's gonna sit. No one's really gonna see it, but you do kind of want to make sure that it ends up being as flat as possible. So just go in wherever you see a space, and then occasionally what I'll do about when I'm halfway through is I'll pull that yarn all the way through. So I went this way, we're gonna go back through wherever we can. Okay, so I've come to the beginning. I'm gonna overlap it just a little bit to kind of ensure that it really stays. Just a bit. And now once you've gone through all your stitches weaving in and out, I like to call this the magical part, because all that you do is pull and it cinches your pumpkin closed. Ta-da! And then you kind of have a little hole right here in the center. So what I like to do is just pick up any random stitches that I can that are directly across from where my yarn is and pull that through so it kind of crosses that. And then I want to cross this way, so I'm going to go into any random little stitches that I can on this side and then go across to that other side. Just through any little stitches you can. Be sure to stay close to that hole. It is kind of important. And then pull tightly again. All right, so what we're going to do next is stuff our pumpkin. Okay, so grab your polyfill or your extra yarn bits, pieces, whatever you're going to stuff this with. If you have any toys that your dogs have chewed up and you've put away, or if they're in the process of ripping and you know you're going to have to throw it away, don't throw it away. Take that stuffing out. Or any old dolls lying around that your kids don't use anymore, take that. I'm all about repurposing things if possible and reusing things, so just grab some stuffing. Okay, it is possible to overstuff your pumpkin, you guys, so just be careful not to do that. If you overstuff, I kind of think it's almost better to understuff these pumpkins, okay? That's just my opinion, but I think it's always better to under than over. And it makes it easier to shape when you understuff. So it's about as much as I'm going to put in. And what I like to do now is actually pull all the polyfill to the side, because I'm going to take my tapestry needle still attached to my yarn and put it through the bottom of that pumpkin. And I'm going to go find it in here and pull it through. Make sure you pull it all the way through to the top, and then kind of spread that filling around. And now we're going to seam up the top. But when we seam up the top, we're going to do it the same way that we did the bottom, except when we're pulling to close, I like to place my finger in the center. Or if you have the stick or whatever it is that you're going to use for the center, just place that in the middle and pull. So we're not going to pull it all the way through, but what I'm going to do now is just weave through the top the same way we did the bottom, guys. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here at the end to show you how to close the top, because it is a little different. So once you've overlapped your beginning a little bit, what you can do is now place your stick in the center, or I like to just use my fingers sometimes, and go ahead and start pulling that closed, and then you can place your thing and then just pull until it's kind of tightly around your object, and then you can remove your object. And this is why my finger works just as well, so I'll just do that and then pull till it's tight around my finger. And then you want to start weaving around that hole. Don't close it up all the way. Don't go through it. Just weave around it. Okay, so this is your pumpkin. And here's your stick that'll go into here. And then you can be done. You can leave it this shape. It's a cute shape. I like it. But I like to go for this kind of cinched Cinderella pumpkin look versus just a round. So in order to get that, what you can do is take that string, the yarn that's still attached, and drag it down one of the slip stitch borders. Drag it down that all the way to the bottom, stick it through the bottom, and pull it up through that hole that you've made. And then you just pull tightly. See what it's doing there? And then I'll go directly across where I just did it, and then back through the bottom to the top, pull through, and then pull to cinch it. And then I'm going to go, so I did these two sides here. You can see by how it cinches, I'm going to go down this side because I want it to look a little more even. Into bottom. Whoops. Whoops, whoops. There we go. Then pull tightly. And then across to the opposite side over here. And you can do this more. I'm only going to do it 4 times. You can do this more if you want, even if you want to be even more cinched. You can do it only 2. It's totally going to be up to you. And then once I've done that, I'll take this and then kind of just weave it through a couple stitches that I see. This is my cable that I'm actually working it through right now, so I'm just gonna go down like 3 and then I'm gonna go back up. And then the best part is, you guys, you can cut it if you would like. You can cut it, or you can be like me, because again, I'm super lazy. Ooh, I'm super lazy right now. I just grab my crochet hook and I shove it back inside the pumpkin so that it acts as extra filling. And I don't have to weave anything in, you guys. So then you kind of want to just play with your pumpkin. It's got that stuffing and it's cinched down, so just kind of stretch it a bit, squish it a bit, up a bit with the cables. And then you can grab your stick, cinnamon stick, whatever you're using, place that inside of your pumpkin. If you don't weave in the ends, like I don't, sometimes you can kind of feel the yarn that you use to cinch your pumpkin, so just maneuver that around to where it stands how you want it. And then you can take a piece of your jute and then go around your pumpkin. I like to leave a longer piece because I like the look of having tails. So here's my tail, and there is your cabled pumpkin. Definitely spend some time shaping this with that polyfill, and there you have it. A cabled crocheted pumpkin. Here is how it looks with a cinnamon stick. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope that you really enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like this video, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss when I post another tutorial or video. We do a lot of fun things on this channel, so I hope that you make these. If you do, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your creations. Happy pumpkin